Mr. Paul Mudaura, the CEO of Capital Markets Authority, various distinguished participants at this workshop, the consultant, Kerry, who will be a key facilitator in this workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm glad personally to be here with you today, very much because we have also participated in the process, and where we are getting to a point where Capital Markets Authority is now bringing us together at this capacity building workshop, which is quite critical because the R.E.I.T.S framework is relatively new in our market, and there are various areas of capacity building that we would be requiring, from the level of the professional administrators of the R.E.I.T.S, and then to even the persons who would be investing in the trusts. We commend Capital Markets Authority for coming up with these regulations. It is an initiative that they took with stride and consulted widely, and we are happy to have been consulted. And from a sectoral perspective also, we also constituted other committees which worked under a stakeholder group to review the regulations as they were being adopted. And at this point, I would like to recognize the participation of various of you who are present here, not only directly with working with the Capital Markets Authority, but working in helping Ministry of Housing and the government to also think through this initiative as it was being developed. This, the R.E.I.T.S initiative is seen by government as a very critical element in supporting the government's efforts to improve development of our country, and particularly by taking responsibility of bringing individuals and private sector assets, or rather resources, into development of private sector assets, as opposed to holding the government responsible for also turning out housing and real estate developments which are private by their nature. Implementation of R.E.I.T.S is commendable, given that our own national policies, the housing, particularly the national housing policy, which is the clearest source of direction for the real estate sector, indicates certain number of challenges, one of which is the lack of resources to drive the sector to the levels that would meet the demand in various aspects of delivery. What comes out clearly is that the government needs to partner, needs to come in with incentives, needs to put in, to play its part to make private sector and private resources easily attracted into the sector. And we believe that R.E.I.T.S is one of these, and it is going to definitely take a critical load from the government insofar as rolling out infrastructural and real estate developments. This, I believe, as we go through the capacity building processes, will have clarity on how it will free resources that government would use for other areas like supply of utilities, development of water supply resources, and energy sources. As we embark on this operationalization of the R.E.I.T.S, I call on all stakeholders to ensure that the necessary monitoring and improvement mechanisms are built into the whole process of implementation, so that we continue and sort of move quickly to ensure that it performs and it is, we are able to roll it into all other sectors. Or I know it will mainly start from the traditional areas of real estate delivery, but it has potential of covering much wider areas, and we can be able to work together in this if we continuously after we have gone into implementation mode. Review, monitor, ensure that we give feedback to the regulatory agencies, the implementation agencies, and the various schemes that will be implementing this. The government recognizes the role of capital markets in rollout of infrastructure, and we have used the various approaches in raising infrastructure resources through the capital markets, and therefore, the government is quite aware and keen to get into areas which put in resources in a manner that it reduces the risk on the investors or on the people who are buying into various products, and at the same time, it makes it provides a method of channeling these resources into various areas of development that are quite needed. And particularly as we relate to our Kenya Vision 2030, which, as you note, is currently under very active implementation, and it is moving quite in step. The sector has suffered a number of setbacks, one of which has been the cost of finance in the market. And we look at rates again as one of the means of coming up with cheaper or more affordable methods of delivery of real estate. For this reason, Kenya has developed an innovative solution to the unique problems that we are continuously having, and the rates that the capital markets has been leading us on has been structured in a manner that to allow various products. And as at now, I know we are going into the details later. The development or rate is structured separately with the investment rates, which I think gives us also a good opportunity and a good mix of interest by various buyers into the trusts to choose whichever side of participation to participate on. The housing sector, just to continue focus and possibly raise the interest of various stakeholders as we think about the initial areas to put these resources that we will be raising in, as a policy that allows, or rather that sort of recognizes participation on basis of the best skills of the various individuals. Government has not been interested in actually building houses for Kenyans. It is to look for ways of working with the private sector through an incentive scheme or support mechanism that will allow the private sector to perform. And I'm happy that the private sector has been quite responsive in the last few years. The finance sector as well, including the banks, have been very supportive in coming up with the products that would support the sector. We see infrastructure developments that are coming on theme-based, like the Konza city that is coming up, other by private sector, Tatu City and others, and we are keenly working with this and seeing what government can do to make it easier for the private sector to participate in this. And ours is to still alert the sector that there is a very high deficit in supply of housing. We have just completed a housing survey, where the data is currently being analyzed, and it would be out in the next few months. What we know from preliminary information is that we have got a huge backlog We have a supply gap that is still quite wide, although the sector has worked very hard in the last 8 years to close the gap. So we would be still be working again on this. Ladies and gentlemen, it is particularly important to note about this, the rates, as it will be a listed product in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. It will also provide an avenue for more Kenyans and other participants to get access into our real estate market where they have not been able to directly participate before. We recognize the robust nature of governance provisions in the R.E.I.T.S framework, and I request originators and sponsors of these products, as well as the unit holders, to exercise the highest level of ethics as well as incorporate governance and management initiatives or principles into these products. We all know the repercussions of mismanagement, and we would not want it to bedevil our well thought out and well integrated product like the R.E.I.T.S that we are going to implement. As I conclude, I would like to emphasize again our commitment to facilitate the provision of a climate and an environment that will participate with a lot of significant incentive and shared roles in the sector to make R.E.I.T.S an attractive investment and an attractive area to participate in. We are also keen as a country to continue making housing affordable, considering the income levels and with various discussions with employers. It is not possible to push incomes or earnings and high, and therefore we would be looking at products that would assist in improving the affordability of housing, which I believe, again, as we have done before, we would be working together. We thank all of you again for having engaged very well within the sector, participated actively in various ways in the sector, and developed interest. And we would like to continue to encourage all of us, again, as we look at this new product, to know that it's a product that would actually allow you to get some earning, as well as also help our country achieve its development aspirations. It is now my pleasure to declare this capacity building workshop officially opened, and we would be working together through these workshops as well, and as we move into the actual implementation of R.E.I.T.S, and wish all of you well, and particularly C.M.A. as you implement this program. Thank you very much.